Imagine restoring a painting so old, its canvas seemed to sigh when you touched it. Imagine a woman's eyes, captured in oil and velvet, that watch you by candlelight. What would you do if those eyes began to whisper your name? Tonight, we follow Elena, a young art restorer, into the shadowed halls of the glass house, a place where mirrors lie, family curses awaken, and finishing a painting might cost you your very soul. Settle in. Turn off the lights. Let's step into the lady in black velvet. The train, cut through rolling fields drowned in mist, its whistle a lonely cry swallowed by the emptiness. Elena watched her reflection in the window. Pale skin, tired eyes, framed by dark hair, flicker and fade against a backdrop of gray trees. For a moment, the glass seemed to ripple, and the reflection smiled when she did not. Elena is 28, fleeing a cramped city life and relentless insomnia. She clutches a worn leather satchel of brushes, solvents, and delicate knives, the tools of her quiet, careful profession. Her hands ache from gripping the seat. She hasn't slept more than 3 hours a night for weeks. A letter lies folded in her pocket from Victor, who has arranged for her to restore a mysterious portrait in the coastal town of Mirehaven. She tries to doze, but her mind flickers with intrusive thoughts. What if it's not the fresh start you need? What if it's another place where your mind will follow you into the dark? Mirehaven greets her with salt-laden air, crooked alleys, houses with peeling paint and shuttered windows. Children watch her pass, their eyes wide and cautious, before slipping into doorways. An old woman sweeping her stoop pauses, stares directly at Elena, and then slowly crosses herself. Elena's rational mind pushes it aside. Superstitious small towns. You've read too many ghost stories. The gallery is a hulking Georgian building, veiled in ivy, cracked columns holding up a blackened lintel. A rusted sign creaks overhead. Inside, the air is cool and thick, with the smell of damp plaster, linseed oil, and old wood. She meets Mrs. Rellan, the caretaker, small, brisk, wearing a cameo brooch that trembles with every heartbeat. Mrs. Rellan's eyes linger on Elena a bit too long. She takes Elena's hands lightly and says, "You're colder than the sea, dear. You'll warm up." They all do. Elena isn't sure what that means. Mrs. Rellan unlocks the restoration studio at the back. A single window drips condensation, the walls lined with stacks of dusty frames. At the center stands an easel draped in a gray cloth, taller than Elena. She hesitates, almost feeling a magnetic pull. When she lifts the cloth, dust blooms around her. Beneath it, a stunning dark portrait of a woman in black velvet with delicate white cuffs. Her skin is luminescent, eyes deep-set, dark, almost amused. Elena feels a rush of vertigo, as though the woman might lean out of the canvas and whisper something only she would hear. Elena sets up carefully, unloading tiny bottles, laying out fine-tipped scalpels, cotton swabs. Her inner monologue drifts. This is what you're good at. You fix what's broken, clean what's stained. You make what's fading last forever. As she examines the creaklure, network of fine cracks in the paint, she notices the portrait's eyes seem to be looking slightly to the left. When she looks again, they seem to stare straight into her. Her hands tremble so badly, she has to set down her magnifier. Her lodging is above a shuttered bakery, a room with sloped ceilings and a small cracked mirror over the washstand. The mattress sags under her, The floorboards creak with her slightest shift. She dreams that night of standing in a long gallery hall, lined with identical portraits, all of the same black velvet woman, each subtly different. As she moves closer, one of the portraits opens its mouth, as if to speak. She wakes drenched in sweat, the sheets twisted around her legs. Over the next days, she starts basic cleaning. Sometimes, she finds her brush has moved across the canvas in a line she doesn't remember making. Her supply log has a smudged line she can't read, in handwriting that doesn't look quite like hers. Twice, as she bends close with a magnifying glass, she hears soft breathing behind her. Once, a small rustle of skirts, as if someone just stepped behind a nearby column. When she asks Mrs. Rellan, the older woman only replies, "Old places breathe too, Miss Mirek. They settle and sigh. Best not to let it trouble your sleep." While rummaging for a missing pigment sample in the gallery archives, Elena finds an old ledger from the 1890s listing repairs on the building. Next to one entry, it reads, "New locks installed after the disappearance. Painting moved to back room. Staff refused to work after dark." The name on the inventory line, "Lady in Black Velvet," attributed to unknown. Her pulse kicks. She tries to laugh it off, but it feels like a cold hand trailing down her spine. That evening, Elena studies herself in her cracked attic mirror, noticing for the first time how hollow her own eyes look, dark rings beneath. She leans closer, tries to reassure herself. "You're tired, that's all. Paint fumes, old boards settling." As she turns away, for a split instant, her reflection smiles, a sharp, knowing curve of the lips, when her own mouth remains still. As Elena works late, the gallery seems to breathe around her. She hears whispers directly from the painting, soft, amused, calling her by name. "Elena, I've waited. How long you've kept me waiting." Her tools slip. She slices her own finger. Blood spatters the canvas. Instead of panic, she feels a sudden, inexplicable wave of affection, murmuring, "I'm sorry. I'll fix it. I promise." She finds a hidden drawer in an old desk in the restoration studio containing yellowed letters dated 1860-1890. They discuss a Mirek woman who came to restore the same portrait long ago. Couldn't be rid of it, took it into herself instead. Elena tries to rationalize. Surely there were other Mireks. It's a common enough name, isn't it? That night, she dreams of a masked ball in a candlelit hall, dancing with faceless figures. When her partner lowers their mask, it's her own face smiling back, with the same sly curve as the lady in the painting. The town grows stranger. A fisherman at the docks mutters to her, "Always thought she'd come back one day. They all come back, even after the sea takes 'em." Mrs. Rellan becomes evasive when Elena asks about the painting's origin. "Best not to look too deeply into old waters, dear. They pull you under." Elena starts sleepwalking, waking up standing before the painting at dawn, her hands stained with dark pigment. Her reflection now moves slightly out of sync, sometimes mouth opening when hers is closed, eyes blinking after hers. The whispers intensify. They no longer sound purely feminine, sometimes a chorus. "Do you remember what you did? How you betrayed me? Finish it, Elena. Set us free." She writes frantic journal entries, questioning her sanity. Ends with a chilling scene where she tries to destroy one of the old letters by burning it, and the flames spell her name in soot on the hearthstone. Elena enters the studio one morning to find the portrait's expression slightly different. The lady's eyes look directly at Elena now, with a glint that seems almost hungry. A faint, bruise-like shadow has appeared on the lady's throat. Elena frantically compares old photos on her phone to the current painting. The photos seem to show exactly what she sees now. Is she altering them in her sleep? Or has the painting always looked this way, and her mind is slipping? Her journal shows entries she doesn't remember writing, some signed in elaborate script. You were always mine, Elena, even before the sea gave you back. A more disturbing note. You made promises. You broke them. You know how this ends. Driven to prove it's all superstition, Elena visits the town records office, discovers an 1891 death record for Elena Mirek, listed as art restorer, found drowned in the tide pools beneath the cliffs. Another record from 1927 lists Helena Mirek, also disappeared. The town clerk gives her a long, pitying look. Some names just keep coming back here, like driftwood or bones. Back at the glass house, Mrs. Rellan reluctantly hands over an old leather folio. Inside are sketches of the lady in black velvet, some signed by E.M., with a flourish that matches Elena's own signature style. Elena flees, heart racing. She tells herself, coincidence, just an old family echo, nothing more. Elena's reflection begins to move independently, brushing back hair or smiling faintly while she sobs. At night, the cracked mirror by her bed shows two Elenas standing side by side, one whispering something to the other. She dreams she's painting the portrait, but every stroke she makes bleeds. The canvas weepen dark tears. When she looks down, her own hands are covered in thick crimson. While working late, she hears whispers growing into a chorus that fills the room. The floorboards seem to pulse under her feet. Frames on the walls tremble. A small landscape painting crashes down, glass shattering at her feet. She runs to the mirror in her attic to reassure herself she's still her. Her reflection tilts its head, smiles with the lady in black velvet's sly mouth, and whispers in her voice, "It's almost time, dear heart." Victor arrives unexpectedly, claiming he came to check on the restoration, but under pressure, reveals he's known all along who Elena is, or who he believes she's become again. It's always you, every generation, drawn back to her. The only way to end it is to finish what began, restore her fully, or join her. He tries to convince Elena the only way to break the cycle is to completely complete the painting, blending her own blood into the final layers. Elena refuses. Victor grows agitated, tries to restrain her. In the struggle, a lamp overturns. The flame flares, scorching a table. Victor leaps back, hissing as if burned himself. Elena runs from the gallery into the cold streets, still clutching her palette knife, leaving Victor staring after her. That night in her attic, Elena tries to destroy the portrait sketches. They won't burn. The flames touch them, but they blacken only at the edges and then heal, the lines restoring themselves. The final beat. In the cracked mirror, she sees the lady in black velvet standing behind her, hands resting on Elena's shoulders, whispering so close she feels breath on her ear. "Finish it, or I will." Fade to black. Elena returns to the gallery determined to finish the restoration, driven by a compulsion that feels no longer her own. The portrait is breathing subtly, chest rising and falling beneath black velvet. When Elena touches the paint, it is warm, pulsing under her fingertips. In a side room, she glances at an old mirror. It shows the lady in black velvet standing where Elena stands, lifting a brush, smiling sweetly. Elena looks down at her hands. They're clean. Looks up. The reflection's hands are dripping red. Victor confronts her again, more desperate than before. Don't you see? You were always meant to return. Finish it, Elena, or she'll never let us be free. Elena screams at him to leave. He backs away, fear in his eyes, whispering, "Then God help us all." Wakes one morning with a knife in her hand, blade darkened, standing over the painting. Looks closely. There are tiny drops of dried blood worked into the shadowed folds of the lady's gown. Flipping through her journal, she finds pages she doesn't remember writing, filled with lines like, "I feed her because she is me. I love her because she was me. I finish her so I can be whole." Her own signature twists slowly over pages into a mirror image, elegant, sinister. Elena finally demands the truth. Mrs. Rellan, eyes tear-bright, admits the gallery was once owned by Elena's great-grandmother, who painted portraits that wouldn't stay still. Every few generations, a Mirek daughter comes back, always the same eyes, the same gift. The painting waits. We tried to bury it once. The sea brought it back. We tried to burn it. It would not catch. Mrs. Rellan shows her a hidden vault, portraits of women identical to Elena, across centuries. Some weep, some smile with cruel delight. "It's always been you, dear," over and over. The lady in black velvet is just another way to come home. Elena spends days in a feverish trance, mixing pigments that smell of salt and iron. Paints over the lady's throat, adding a necklace that looks disturbingly like bruised hands clutching skin. Her own hands bleed from cuts she can't remember making. The blood soaks the canvas edge, vanishing like water. At last stroke, the lady's eyes shift and lock onto Elena's, wide, bright, alive. Elena steps closer, drawn, whispering, "I see you now. I remember." The painting breathes out, mist curling from its mouth, wrapping around Elena. In the mirror, she sees herself standing inside the painted world, the ballroom stretching behind her. The lady in black velvet stands in the gallery, breathing, turning to greet Victor, who screams and stumbles back. Elena touches the inside of the glass. On the outside, her own reflection smiles darkly and walks away. Weeks later, the gallery is shuttered, dust gathering again. Victor is gone, presumed fled or mad. Mrs. Rellan sits alone, humming sadly. A new restorer arrives, young, hopeful, carrying her own leather case. Mrs. Rellan greets her with tired eyes. "You'll find the piece waiting in the back room, dear. It's quite special, quite old." As the new restorer lifts the gray cloth, she gasps. The portrait now is of Elena, serene, smiling faintly in black velvet, eyes deep pools that seem to watch, to recognize. The final line of the novel might be, "And deep within the canvas, something breathed." Months have passed. The Glass House Gallery has quietly reopened, under new partial ownership, some distant legal trust tied to the Mirek estate. The once dusty halls have been cleaned. Sun filters through high windows. A young restorer named Annika, eager, bright-eyed, steps into the gallery. She reads from her contract papers, thrilled at the prospect of restoring a rare, mysterious 19th century portrait. Mrs. Rellan, older and more hollow now, greets her politely but avoids eye contact. Annika pulls back the protective cloth. Her breath catches. It's a portrait of Elena, regal and serene in black velvet, hands delicately folded, eyes dark pools that seem to watch Annika's every move. Annika notices a faint shimmer around the eyes, almost like tiny cracks moving if she looks too long. Smiles nervously to herself. Just old varnish. You'll be beautiful again. Begins to unpack her tools. As Annika sets up her lamp, the whole grows strangely still. A faint sigh, almost content, drifts through the room. Annika turns sharply, sees nothing, chuckles to herself, shakes her head. Old places always creak. Nearby hangs a small tarnished mirror, left over from Elena's time. For a heartbeat, Annika sees two women in black velvet standing behind her. One is Elena, the other the original lady, their faces nearly merging. When she spins around, the room is empty. Mrs. Rellan sits in her office, holding an old mourning locket with a lock of dark hair inside. She whispers, tearful, "I'm so sorry, Elena, but some debts run too deep for mercy." She kisses the locket shut, sighs heavily, and blows out her lamp, leaving the office in darkness. Somewhere deep in the locked storerooms, an old canvas spontaneously crumbles to ash, its frame left blackened and empty. The faintest echo of a woman's laughter or a sob ripples through the dark. Back in the main hall, Annika pauses mid-stroke with a tiny brush. The portrait of Elena seems to exhale, the fabric of her painted gown shifting, as though caught by a gentle wind. Annika shivers, rubs her arms, whispers, "Must be a draft." Yet she continues to work, unaware of a faint shadow that slowly rises behind the canvas, hands poised as if about to embrace her. And in the silence of the glass house, something smiled. Fade to black.